Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين. Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Today I wanted to just go over the what we have planned for the next few days. Is I want to go with you on a journey to share the incredible gift that we have in entering into the Mihrab of Salat, of entering into the Mihrab of your own heart. That each one of us has a soul, a ruh, which is bil amri Rabbi. There is nothing for us to acquire, there's nothing for us to gain except for that intimacy with that which is already within us, which is the light of God within every one's heart. Access to that light within you requires a tajreed, a giving up, to begin with, a loosening of the idea of selfness. What is the self? Understanding what the self is, how it emerged, how it activates in life, and how the dynamic of how we live each day with who we are, and how can we find ourselves more intimate and connected and sensing that connection with that light which is forever bil amri Rabbi within us. That is the whole point of life, and that's the whole point of this gathering, is that we become more intimate with that light that is within each one of us. One thing I'd like to also share with you in the next few days, and also something we really need to do all of our lives, is that when you see another person, no matter who they are, if they're your brother and sister in Islam, or just anyone, doesn't matter who they are, Muslim, Christian, Jew, atheist, whatever, when you see that person, see them as a container of that light which is bil amri Rabbi. Because every human being has that light, that ruh, that foreverness residing within them. When you are able to see that with your inner eye, and also with your consciousness, see the attribute of that reality within each person, it transforms you. Because now you're giving the correct due to that mirror which is in front of you. And you're only giving that honor in reality to your own self. It's like when you meet another person or anyone else, it's like getting ready to make your salat. What do? You turn towards Kaaba. And what is Kaaba? Kaaba is Bayt Allah. What is the other thing that we call Bayt Allah? That's the heart. So it is, when you turn towards Kaaba, what are you turning to? You're turning to your own true self, your own true authentic reality, your own heart. And we're all the same. See everyone as yourself. See everyone as a mirror reflecting some facet, what is the message of this moment that's coming to my heart, that I can read, Iqra, that I can see, that I can learn from, that I can reflect on. We mustn't raise our heads high. All of us are in that place where we are begging at the door, no matter who they are. So one of the best practices that we can do, and inshallah while we're here together, is to treat each other with that correct adab. Recognize each other as a carrier of that light, a carrier of that ruh, a carrier of that eternal reality. And you will then become closer in tasting and in consciousness of your own higher reality. You will make that space between, when you do that enough, you make a space between that which you perceive and how you're perceiving. Because when you see people other than witnessing them as a ruh, then your consciousness becomes taken by the external changing shadow show of the world and the people you're with. But if you see with the eye of ruh, of light, see them as light, then you are reflecting the light within you, and then you begin to really see and to wake up. So let's try to do that, inshallah, the next few days, and make it also a life practice. But in the next few days, since we're here to nourish our spiritual life, to raise our condition and our state, it's a wonderful practice to do when in a very focused way while we're here, inshallah. Today I was thinking about how I was going to begin my talk, and Hesse. We were together in South Africa, and we were at a place called Umdeni, which is a beautiful piece of land outside of about an hour, 2 hours or so from Johannesburg. And while we were there, Hesse had an experience of what had actually happened in that place. There was a lot of dhikr that happened there, a lot of openings that came to many people that were there. And so Hesse wrote a poem about it. He handed it to me just before I came to give this talk. So when I read it, I realized that is the perfect destiny. Allah decreed that you went to that place, and here you handed this to me, and it was really the poem to open, I think, this talk, and open, I think, the meaning of this whole gathering. It was embodied in this beautiful poem, Hesse. So I'd like to read this to you, and I'd like to make a few comments about it as we go through it. Everybody knows Hesse, right? Everybody knows you here? He's sitting in the front. So this is a poem about Yakuta's father, but it's really more, it's about her father, but it's about a universal reality. He begins by saying, the seed leaves its security and falls onto the ground. A new life grows up, opens its flower to show Allah's beauty. The wind spreads that scent, the scent, over mountains and valleys, over and over again in an eternal cycle. Everything and nothing has changed. The barakah of love now lives, and lives forever. This is Hasse's poem. When I read this earlier today, what came to me about that and about this gathering was the following. The seed leaves its security and falls onto the ground. We've all come from that one light, and we're all actually living in that one light, and in appearing as though we're journeying to return to that light. But we are in this world of relative consciousness. We do not, as our brother just said before, that we're not living, we're striving for the state of ihsan, that Allah, that we practice and we live in a way in which we see Allah, but because we don't see Allah, we're not in that state, we know that He sees us. And that has to do with relative consciousness. That when you know that you do not see Allah, because in a way you cannot really see Allah with your eyes. You can see the traces of Allah. You can see His names manifest. You can see the world around you that is His speech, that indicating His rububiyah, His lordship over everything. But because maybe you cannot see Allah, know that He sees you, and that knowing that He sees you is higher consciousness. It is, in fact, you're not disconnected from that consciousness. When you know that Allah is seeing you, it means that you're aware of your own self. It is nur ala nur, being aware of your own self. So, and it makes you, at that moment, it raises your state, because you know you're being watched. But who's watching? Where's the watcher? If Allah Azza wa Jal if the ruh is bil amri rabbi, then that watcher is already within you. So that higher consciousness is coming from within. So this seed that falls, that leaves its security of the womb, leaves its that oneness and falls onto the ground of this relative existence. And a new life grows up and opens its flower to show Allah's beauty. That's what we are. Each one of us is a mirror, a fingerprint, you might say, of that one reality which Allah then that manifests His beauty, His generosity, His forgiveness, His artfulness, His mercy within each one of us. So we are like that. We are a new life grows up and it opens its flower to show Allah's beauty. We are all a manifestation of Allah's will to know Himself. Allah says in a beautiful hadith Qudsi, He says, I was a treasure hidden, wanting, loving to be known, so I manifested this creation to be known. So everything is predicated on that initial intention. And our existence is predicated on that intention, which is that Allah, that to know Allah. And Allah, the only way that one can know Allah is by a complete dissolution of who you are, of what you are, of what you think you are, of the illusion of your separation. It is in total connectedness. We don't know what that is, but that reality is indicated everywhere we reflect. So it goes on to say, the wind spreads the scent over the mountains and the valleys. When I heard that, I heard that this whole creation is for that. Allah says in another hadith Qudsi, He says, I created this world for you and I created you for me. So everything in this creation is a manifestation of Allah's want to be known. And we are predicated. We are part of this creation. So our very existence is predicated on that will and desire to be known. And how beautiful it's expressed in this poem, the wind spreads the scent over the mountains and the valleys. What is that scent? That essence scent which is in the rose, in the flowers, in the herbs, and in the wind, and what we see in the taste of water and everything. That is it echoes the unitive behind the outer, meaning that a rose may be beautiful, but then you smell its essence, and it enters into you, and it raises your condition. It's the same when you look at the creation with those same eyes. You look and you see the mountains, you see Allah's majesty. When you see the sun, you say Allah's nur samawati wal ard. You relate everything back to Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is the scent of this creation. And this creation is His scent, and it is His language. It is His lughat. And then He said, over and over again in an eternal cycle, because this is a universal reality. Today we are very fortunate, more fortunate than any other time in history, that we have informational scientific knowledge, for instance. I'll give you an example. That the Hubble telescope, 150 years ago, we didn't think about black holes and multi-universes and galaxies, countless galaxies, and billions upon billions of stars, but we can now. So what does that mean for us? It means that we can expand, at least in a conscious way, in a mindful way, that we are just part of an incredible matrix of realities and reality upon reality and cascading universes upon universes. This is something which opens your heart. It opens your mind and your heart. It makes you see things differently. People who don't see this, they're at a loss. We are experiencing now things that are Allah's rahmah in the discoveries that are being made, because it's all helping us to expand our consciousness and to see ourselves in a different way. Over again in eternal cycles. So we can see that what is relevant here on this planet in a small, on a level of an atom, is relevant to a galaxy, that relevant to multiple galaxies and multiple universes. So it connects everything together. Everything and nothing has changed. I mean, this has been the reality from the beginning. Right? This is the whole purpose of this creation, Allah's creation, is that He is manifesting the knowledge of Himself and who He is and what He is within every single thing that we can experience with our limited consciousness. And at the same time, we have that ultimate, timeless, endless reality living in the core of our being. So what the stars and the planets and the galaxies and everything is made of, you're made of. You are the same. We're all the same. We're all in this incredible patterning. And what's behind that patterning is Allah's manifesting His will to be known. So everything that is existent, that can become conscious of, is a language and a transmission of what Allah's desire is to be known. Really take that in, that your whole, when you say Bismillah, when we do the Salat, one of the things that we pass up a great deal is we say, and I'm completely guilty of this so many times, I just say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, and I go, oh, what did I just say? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The whole universe, I just passed up the whole universe in a second of ghafala, of forgetfulness. We need to go deep into our salat. Bismillah means in the name of Allah. It means that this person, this relative person with all of its minutiae of mind and all the things that it's involved in, is here for a purpose predicated upon what Allah wants. Not who I am, but what Allah wants. My life, your life, all life is predicated on the origin of all life. So when you stand up and you say Bismillah, you're acknowledging your total slavehood in a positive sense, totally. Your total existence is predicated upon the one existence, the source of all existence. That's the key to your life right there. When you say Bismillah, you've just put the key in the door. If you don't say it with presence and with meaning and with profundity, then you've lost it. You didn't do your prayer. You did it outwardly, religiously, but you didn't do it meaningfully and transformatively. And then you say, Bismillah ar-Rahman, the overarching reality. Allah says, Kataba ala nafsi, I've written upon myself mercy. The overarching reality of Allah's mercy. The entire creation came into being out of mercy. I mean, it's so incredible just to grasp that for just a moment. We were talking earlier with Yusuf, we were talking about if all things can lead back to Allah, then what about like some of the most horrible things that happen in life? You know, the trauma that some children have to experience, or that women have to experience, that men have to, that human beings have to experience. Where does that fit in the picture of rahmah? But I know now, and I'm sure each one of you can remember a time where you had trauma and difficulty and some suffering, and at the moment of the suffering and the trauma and the difficulty, you didn't think there was any good in it or anything that could help you. You didn't see Yad Allah, the hand of Allah, in it, because you were blinded by the moment of this tragedy. But then you look back. Maybe 2 years pass, 5 years pass, or whatever it takes. And then you look back and you go, Allahu Akbar. If that didn't happen, I would be in worse condition than I am now. Or if that didn't happen, this wouldn't have happened, A, B, C, D. And most people would agree that that's what happens to them. So it is all overarching, this creation of Allah's rahmah. So Bismillah, you acknowledge that you are predicated and you exist by Allah's decree, and that decree is coming from a totality of mercy throughout this entire creation. And then you say Ar-Rahim, which is the relative experience of that mercy. So Rahman is the overarching reality of Allah. That means everything in creation that you can discern is merciful. But your personal and relative experience of that is Rahim. So you know that Allah is love, rather that Allah's manifest love through interconnectedness of all things is a manifestation of love, is interconnectedness. But you don't know all things. You're not the knower of all things. You are not the manifestation of Allah's name. Rather, you don't have full knowledge of the manifestation of Allah's names. But you can experience it on your own personal level. You can experience love, forgiveness, all the names of Allah on a relative sense. So Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim is a overarching mercy and a personal experience of that mercy. And then he ends this poem by saying, the barakah of love now lives. And it's what came to me when he wrote that was that it is perfectly what a proof and a reality of what Allah has said, that He said, I was a treasure hidden and wanting to be known. So I manifested this creation to be known. So it becomes a barakah of love that lives. This is what it is. This whole creation is a barakah of love that lives. It has its root in Allah's desire to know Himself. And so everything that we see and experience is connected to that original intention, and it is for us to awaken to that and experience that through our relative experience, but always take that relative experience and refer it to the higher within you. So if you love someone, love that person, but then love them also with the love of Allah that's within your heart. A love which is beyond conditioning. A love which is beyond condition. When you see something beautiful, you say, Ya Jamil, this is, or you are beautiful, or this car is beautiful, or a flower is beautiful. Take it to your ruh and say, Allah is beautiful. This is a manifestation of Allah's names and and Allah's being. Okay, Bismillah. So I wanted to start tonight with more sort of towards what I would like to do over the next few days is go through some of the Diwan. Do I have time for that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So many of you are familiar with the Diwan of Sheikh Muhammad ibn al-Habib, I think. And he was an arif, a teaching sheikh, and a man of great knowledge. He was also a faqih, a scholar, and took the Sufi path and left behind this beautiful diwan that has teaching songs in it, that have reflective messages, that if you read it and you sing it and you reflect on it, you will get spiritual benefit from it. You'll have access to higher thinking, higher consciousness. You will have access to heartful experiences. And this is not just, of course, limited to this diwan. There are many other diwans and traditions that do the same. But this particular one has been very accepted and useful for a lot of Western people. This diwan was taken, to Europe and to England, and it's now sung all over the world, and in America, and people have found so much benefit in it. So in the next few days, inshallah, we'll go through some of these songs. We'll sing them together. Now, I just want to say one thing about singing, is that, there's this whole, in Islam, when I first became Muslim, I'm sure all of you had this experience, they say music and singing and all this is haram, and all that. And what I've come to understand, and maybe you've experienced this, have anybody experienced that before? No? You have, yeah. That what I've come to understand about it now is that there is music which inspires the lower aspect of the self. The lower chakras, you may say. And maybe that's really not a really accurate statement, but just metaphorically speaking. It activates a bit base elements in you. But then there's music and sound that is like the level of the birds, that you hear them and it raises your state. You hear the song of nature. And so that type of music and singing unites people and raises their hearts and raises their condition. And that's what this is about, is raising your condition and Allah's also, when people do this together, Allah's rahmah is with His jama. There's an X factor. When you sing things together, there's a multiplying factor, which is, we don't know how it works, but it does. It just does. Your praying with another person increases your prayer. So in the same way, singing and doing dhikr together, communally, raises everybody's state together. So it's a wonderful thing to do together. So inshallah, we'll the next few days we will do it. So I want to just do one song tonight, and we'll do 3 more during the next 3 days, and we'll just go into the meaning of it together. And I'd like to also put it out there that if anyone has something to say about it also in their personal experience, please feel free to share it. So the first one we're going to do is Ahimu Wahdi, which is... we will? Okay. So we'll carry... or either we'll carry this... I spoke a little bit too much in the beginning. So we'll either carry this on after Maghrib.
No, we'll do it after Maghrib.
Okay, we'll do this after Maghrib. Inshallah.
We'll just pray now and then straight away we'll do it.
Okay.
Because time has entered.
Because time, yeah, I can see that. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.